Hi, Stanwood Foursquare kids. It's Mrs. Koster, and I'm joining you from the comfort of Mr. Koster's home office because it's the only place I can get a little bit of peace and quiet here lately. How many of you feel like that at your house too? Are you looking for places to get a little bit of peace and quiet? We'll find it, don't worry. But Hillary asked if I could read you a Bible story, and so I looked through some of our old kids' Bibles, and I found one of my girls' favorite old Bibles from when they were younger, and it's called the God and Me Bible. And this one in particular is for girls because I have 3 of them in my house. So that is the Bible that we got when they were about 6 to 9 years old. Tana's reading this one now, and it's been really fun to listen to her read that to me every night. I'm going to read you a story that's one of my favorites, and it's called Joshua and the Battle of Jericho. And one of the reasons this is my favorite is because some of the verses in here are verses that I think of all the time, and especially lately, and that is, do not be afraid, for I, the Lord, am with you wherever you go. I know lately we're not going many places, maybe from your kitchen to your living room, but I think the most important thing to remember is that it doesn't matter if you are in your house for 2 weeks or when we're finally able to go other places, that we don't need to live in fear because the Lord is with us wherever we're at, even in your bedroom. All right, I'm going to read this to you. Here we go. Joshua and the Battle of Jericho. Joshua was chosen by God to be the leader of his people after Moses. I will be with you as I was with Moses, said God. Don't be afraid, for I, the Lord, am with you wherever you go. Important thing. The Israelite people were still on their way to the Promised Land and had to pass through the city of Jericho. The stone walls of the city were very thick and impossible to get through. The gates were locked, so the Israelites could not get into the city. Guards kept watch day and night. But Joshua believed that God would help them. He listened to God's plan. This is the best part. God's plan, a little bit different, but I like how it worked out. God told Joshua to choose 7 priests who would carry trumpets. Isn't that crazy? Trumpets, not swords, not rams, not bats, not anything they could use to break into the city. He told them to carry trumpets. They were to march around Jericho once every day for 6 days, blowing their trumpets in front of the people. So every day for 6 days, they walked all around the city and they blew their trumpets. That's what they did, just blew their trumpets. It's probably pretty loud, but it was only, it was just 7 of them. On the 7th day, the priests would march around the city 6 times. So on the 7th day, they went around 6 times. On the 7th time, the priests would blast a long, loud note on their trumpets, and the people would scream as long as possible. I don't know about you, but I feel like a few of these days this last week, I felt like walking around my house and screaming as loud as possible too. It might still happen. Joshua and the people did exactly as God said. They marched around the city each day on the 7th day, and on the 7th march, the people shouted. It was so loud, and guess what? The walls of the city collapsed. They just came down. Joshua and his people captured Jericho. Joshua always listened to God's words and was careful to obey God's laws. And when he was a very old man, he told the Israelites to keep on serving God. And this is one of my favorite verses of all times. In fact, when Mr. Koster and I got married, the pastor who married us gave this verse to us on a cross, and it's been hanging in every house we've ever lived in. And it says, as for me and our family, or as for me and my family, said Joshua, we will always serve the Lord. And we're spending so much time with our families right now that it's really great to remember that in my house and in your house, our families are serving the Lord. And I think that's an amazing thing to have on my wall because it's a good reminder for me that even while I'm spending so much time with my family and you're spending so much time with your family, it's amazing and awesome that we are serving our God who, remember, never leaves us. All right, here's the picture. Kind of a crazy cartoon picture, but here they are. Look at those trumpets. Do they look like trumpets we have now? No, not really. Look sort of like horns. I'm not even sure they could play like really great music with them. Probably just the same sound all the time, but who knows? And here are the walls coming down. I like to think of that and think of those priests just walking around Jericho, just blasting those trumpets, blasting those trumpets, blasting those trumpets. This reminds me of Tana when she brought home her recorder from school, and she would go all around the house just playing her recorder. I'm glad that none of our walls fell down. But I just want you all to remember, just like Pastor Tim says every week, you are loved, you are believed in, not just by Pastor Tim, all of us. We all love and believe in you. Anybody who's ever had the privilege to teach you or spend time with you, we all are thinking about you. We all are praying for you, and we are all very, very, very much looking forward to the day that we get to give you a big hug and welcome you back into our Sunday school rooms. But I say a prayer for you all daily, and I'm praying that you and your families are enjoying this special time that maybe we didn't think we were going to get to have to spend together, but now surprisingly we have a lot of time to spend with our families, and I think that's been a big blessing in all of this. I've been able to spend a lot more time with Lauren and Katie and Tana, and even though they sometimes pretend like maybe they don't want mom around all the time, it's not such a bad thing. Those of you who I usually see at Cedar Home at school, hi, and I miss you, and I can't wait to high five you and knuckle bump you and hug you all to pieces.